Welcome back to Kin in Line. I'll make this part 160. As you will have gathered, I'm focusing now on quite a few small drawings I've done. They're all on, small pieces of card or paper that I carried around with me, sort of nicely portable. And here we've got, I took the boys to the harbour, so this would have been around 2000 maybe. You can just see the container cranes in the background and this container ship with a speedboat in the foreground there. Also visible from that vantage point, I don't know if you even allowed it this far into the harbour anymore. So this curious looking vessel with cranes actually on its deck. So loading and unloading its own stuff, cargo. And you could probably Google this name, I can't, Belusa something or other. Then inevitably back on the beachfront, and I sketched a couple more ships out in the bay, cranes, and someone on the beach seated. It was rather like this. Port Elizabeth's known as the Windy City, and I think this captures that. This is drawn at Pollock Beach. There is the marker thing that I've shown before. There's a name for it, that they used to line ships up out in the bay. But this guy with a towel draped around his upper torso, and then the little kid sort of leaning into the wind. And then our kids, so they must have been in their, if not yet in their teens, sort of love playing in the sand and so forth. So this is one of them, drawn from above. There's a rocky outcrop that I was on when I looked down I was looking down on them, I tell you. This is probably another one. So they're all engaged in playing in the sand. And nearby probably was this group of fishermen. And another solitary fisherman, or angler, I think is the more accurate term. Also at Pollock, that's Pollock without a C. So it's got nothing to do with Graham and Peter Pollock, who were springback cricketers from Port Elizabeth. This was named after a hotel that was established back in, I think, the late 19th century at what became Pollock Beach because of the hotel. And there's that same landmark up top left. Maybe it's the same father and son or whatever. And that rectangle there is pipe. That's the stormwater outlet. And one just hopes it's not too dirty because that's off there that they do a lot of surfing. Then because we had kids at school and we tried to get them involved in doing a bit of music. So this is Doug, I think, at one point he had to try to master the recorder. I think this is him having a bash at that. So I sat through this concert as each child had to perform on their instruments. I mean, it must be quite stressful. And, yeah, this looks like another recorder exponent. Just realised we were quite a long way from these kids. I mean, we were all seated in a hall in chairs, on chairs, quite distant from these kids. So I just had to do the best I could. This little flautist. And then there was a teacher who played the violin in accompaniment to one or two of the people playing the instruments. I don't think any of the kids actually played the violin. There's a chap waiting to perform on his recorder. And at one point Doug played the trombone, so this is possibly him. And the teacher who wore a beret like a French lady on the violin. And a young child, I think this might have been at a end of year prize giving, but just a girl waiting with her, I think this is a viola or smaller than a double bass, what they called. Anyway. And these chaps, I think they were in the choir. Our boys also sang in the choir. So I did not intentionally make them look like a bunch of thugs. But I think if you wanted a couple of Dickensian pickpockets, this looks like them. This girl would probably even recognize herself, who playing the flute at Herbert Hurd around the early 2000s. And that same girl probably with this instrument. Pity about the damn foxing on the paper there. This, poor Luke, our eldest, when he got to high school at Alexander Road, he subjected himself to the band. And that wasn't Bob Dylan's The Band, that was the brass band. And he played this thing. Tuba, is it? I think so. Heavy as lead and made a farting noise. That's all right. Not easy to perform on, I don't think. Yeah, so at one of the boys' recitals, this was one of the dads. I actually knew him quite well. He was a photographer, I think. And I think this was a teacher, a music teacher. He would remember it if he ever saw himself here. Yeah, this was at the prize giving. There's a couple of faces in the foreground, and then you can see a table bedecked with trophies and things in the background. One of the kids whose hair seemed to get a bit out of place here as he played the sax. and somebody on looks like a recorder or that saxophone that doesn't bend. Remember the alto or something. Flautist. Trombonist. They're all there at it. Not trombone, sorry, that would be a trumpeter. This is probably Luke on that thing that he played, tuba, something. And no idea who this guy was. Clearly loved the music. Not my most successful beachfront drawing. Walking the dog, what we used to call one of the moves with a yo-yo. But the problem is the dog's missing. So he's walking the leash. Just another character on the beach. And I remember this was Luke, who took up golf at quite a young age. And here he's on the beach practicing his putting with a stick and a stone. Not sure, but I think this looks like Bonza Bay Beach. It's quite a detailed one. I'm pretty sure this is Bonza Bay. Oh, wait, Nahoon Mouth. So that's the river in the foreground there, sort of pushing out, and then some people walking towards Nahoon Beach there, and that's out towards that way is Nahoon Reef. Of course, your dogs, there might even be surfers out there, little blobs. So, young boys will play in the sand. It's quite a nice action shot. I call them shots because for me they are like photographs, you know. It's just a quick recording of someone in a unique way, which is in a few lines as opposed to a boring old photo. And yeah, this is Luke, I think, reacting to something, either his cousin or brother or somebody. And then to conclude this section, we'll have a peaceful ending. Two guys on the Bonza Bay Beach waiting for that catch. It looks like that guy's rod has moved a bit, so it could be a little something on the end of it, a great white or something. Yeah, so till next time, let's get him in focus. Cheers for now.